Hey guys, welcome back to Intuitive Angling, and appreciate you guys joining me for the episode today. And as you can see from the background, we are not in the tackle room in Southwest Missouri. We're actually down on the beach right now. Took a few days on a little vacation. It's our only vacation we've had this whole year. Came down here with the boys. They start school next week, so we're down here doing a little swimming and hanging out on the beach. But nevertheless, I still want to get my videos out and get you guys some good fishing tips. What we're going to talk about today, guys, is I got thinking about this. If there's one piece of advice that I can give you as a bass angler, you have got to learn to fish like I want to talk about today. There is an approach to bass fishing that a lot of people don't understand as far as the consistency and the day in and day out success it gives you. I'm going to tell you what that is, give you guys some tips and advice on how to incorporate it in your game plan here. Also, guys, a couple quick things before we get started here. Thank you very much, number one, for checking the video out, guys. Thank you very much for hitting that subscribe button here at Intuitive Angling. Much appreciated there. And also, thank you very much, guys, for everybody that uses all those links that I put in every video description. You guys, I hear some of you guys saying, Randy, I'm sick of hearing you guys talk about that. Other guys say, Randy, I understand it. Don't worry about it. You know, we love to support you. Thank you very much for everybody that's done that, because you guys that are using the links are the reason these YouTube videos are on YouTube. Without that, we wouldn't have it. So really appreciate that. Okay, guys, I want to talk about the approach to bass fishing that you have to sort of develop if you want to have some consistency. Because when you're talking about normal, real bass fishing, not without using forward-facing sonar, I don't consider that real bass fishing. I'm talking about the true art form of bass fishing, the satisfying, respectable, ethical, honorable way to bass fish. It's the traditional way of fishing where you fish to find the fish. Now, in general, here's what the point of what I'm talking about in this video is. There's two basic lure approaches and two basic lure categories in bass fishing. You have your moving baits and you have your slow baits. In other words, you have your moving baits, just what you're talking about. They move horizontal through the water column or maybe vertical through the water column if you're jigging a spoon or something like that. And then you have your slow baits that are hopped or crawled on the bottom. So this is the main difference with that, because when you're talking about like a reaction bait, it can be something like a topwater lure on the surface. It could be a jerk bait it's subsurface. It can be a deep diving crankbait that's moving across the bottom. It can be a swim bait or a glide bait that you're reeling across the bottom, a fluke, anything like that. These are moving reaction baits. And then your jigs, your worms, your shaky heads, your Ned rigs, Carolina rigs, all that type of stuff that actually are in contact with the bottom when the fish bite them are the slow baits. Now, here's the thing about it. Bass have different moods and personalities all the time. And these moods and the personalities are affected by a plethora of things. Things like the time of year, you know, the daylight hours in the year, the wind, the water temperature, the air temperature, the water clarity, you know, the direction of the wind, seasons, fishing pressure, all this stuff. There's a lot of variables that determine the mood and the personality of a bass. Normally what happens is the bass are either in a primary moving bait reaction mode or mood, or a slow non-reactionary bite mode. Now sometimes they can be both, but the more common thing is you have to hit upon, do these bass want a moving bait or do they want a slow bait? And this is what I'm getting ready to talk about. Moving baits are inconsistent. It's like if you historically look at some of like the most consistent bass pros over the years, they are not the ones that throw moving baits. Sorry about that, guys. We're right here at the hotel. There's a bunch of noise, people pool behind us and everything. So anyway, that's the main thing that you have to remember, is that the moving baits, they require a bass to be in a certain frame of mind to bite them. And if you have things like, you know, the wrong wind speed, the wrong wind direction, the wrong type of light intensity, the heavy fishing pressure, they are simply not going to bite a moving bait. They will not do it. But bass will always bite a slow bait day in and day out in any condition whatsoever. Let's take, for example, a spinner bait. You know, a spinner bait is going to be better usually on a cloudy, windy type day, or a topwater a lot of times going to be better on a cloudy day. Or chatterbait, anything like that. Cloudy, windy type days. These are what activates those fish to bite a moving bait. But if you're fishing a jig or a Texas rig worm or something like that, it doesn't matter if it's raining, cloudy, sunny, windy, not wind, heavy fishing pressure, light fishing pressure, it doesn't matter. They will consistently bite it. That's why you can take an angler like Larry Nixon, or even like Gary Yamamoto, two of the most famous slow bait fishermen in the world. Tommy Biffle and Vinnie Brower are another two. Unbelievably consistent anglers, because that's what they concentrate on, is those slow baits where the fish do not react to different type of environmental changes. But some of the anglers out there that have been inconsistent, but they may win a lot of tournaments, but they're not consistent day in and day out, are the guys that fish like the spinner baits and the top waters and the crank baits. Not to say they don't work, but they don't have the level of consistency. So here's the point of the video. You have got to master, and you've got to have confidence in fishing a slow bait, and that has to be your primary approach to bass fishing. That's why you got to get good with the jig, guys. Football head jig, finesse jig, flipping and pitching jig, wobble head jig, it doesn't matter. You got to get good with the jig. You got to get good with a worm. Texas rig worm, weighted worm, weightless worm, wacky rig, Ned rig, shaky head, drop shot. You got to get good with those baits, because they are going to produce. It doesn't matter what the conditions are. Let me give you guys a prime example. The first day that I ever learned how to flip a jig was in 1982, when I fished with, you hear me talking about my jig mentor, Terry Thomas. We fished a tournament together, and it was heavy rain and thunder and lightning almost all day long, and we were flipping heavy cover with jigs and flooded willow trees. And most people say, well, flipping and pitching is better when it's sunny out because it positions the fish. That's not true. And even Terry told me, it's like these fish are they're committed to this cover. They're going to bite. It doesn't matter what the conditions are. So a slow bait will work if it's raining, cloudy, clear, muddy, heavy fishing, whatever. It's going to work day in and day out, because the fish don't have to chase. And let's say, for example, you're a bass and you live next to a stump under the water, or you live next to a boat dock piling or the edge of a grass bed. If you have a spinnerbait or a crankbait or whatever swim by you, it takes a lot of effort and a lot of commitment to go chase that thing down and run out there and get it. So you got to be in the right mood. It's just like when you get up in the morning. If you get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, the last thing you want to do is go hit the gym hard. You're not in the mood to do that. But if you're that same bass living around that dock piling or the edge of that grass bed or on that stump, and you see that jig hopping by a couple inches in front of you that's just barely moving like that, all you have to do is just reach out there and suck it in. So this is what I'm talking about, the consistency. You've got to develop confidence in slow baits in order to catch fish. You got to develop confidence in every bait to catch fish. I mean, versatility is the key to consistency. But if I can give you one piece of advice, guys, to spend a lot of time on those slow baits, because over the course of your bass fishing career, it's going to pay off a lot more, than those fast moving baits are. So, guys, hope you guys are well. We'll talk later.